it's pretty pathetic when your stereo can drown out your guitar amp. Your guitar is supposed to be very loud. If I were to plug my guitar directly into my amp, it's loud enough, but it sounds like crap. It's a shitty amp. It's a Fender M80, and the best sound I found for myself is plugging into my MXR full bore metal distortion pedal and then into a foot switch in on my amp. That gives me this sound. But the problem is, even right now, I'm maxed out. I can't get any louder than that. The only way I can get louder is if I had a more powerful amp, a louder amp, or a cabinet. Even if I were to plug my guitar into the input 1 and 2, it takes away from the, I don't even know how to describe it. It takes away from the low end. It basically makes your guitar sound like this. It sounds dumb. I like having low end. But this is the only way I can get this sound. This is the sound I like for my guitar sound, my tone. And the only way to make it louder is to go through, run my Fender M80 into a 212 or a 412 cabinet, and that's what will make me louder. This is the first time I've actually lived in a house ever since I moved out. When I moved out of my parents' house in '94, I literally have been in apartments ever since 2 years ago. Having this Fender M80 in apartments has been loud enough. But now that I'm in a house and no one can hear me and I can crank it and be louder, it's kind of sad that when I'm using Moises and running just drums, vocal, and bass tracks, it pisses me off. Now I gotta move it around because I can't fucking see. I got my phone right dead center. If I were to turn up my mixer, so make my stereo louder, try this. I still have a lot of headroom on my stereo audio. I can make it even louder. With with the risk of blowing my speakers, it's frustrating because now I can drown out my guitar with my stereo. It shouldn't be that way. It should be the other way around. But I can't get any louder. If I were to get louder with my amp, it just takes away from my sound. It just sounds just way too much fucking treble. It just sounds fucking horrible. I don't want that much treble in my sound. I don't even know how to describe treble. On an equalizer, you've got bass, mid-range, and treble. If you turn down the treble, you can't really hear the crash cymbals and the hi-hat of the drummer. If you turn down the bass, it takes away from the kick drum and the bass guitar and the heaviness of the guitar. If you turn down the mid-range, it takes the guitar volume down. I like it scooped like a smiley face. I like my treble all the way up, my bass all the way up, and mid-range about half. Right now on my pedal, so I don't blow my speaker, I've got my bass backed off to half, and right now I could crank up my pedals to full blast and it's still not loud enough. If I were to actually have a drummer bring his acoustic drum set, acoustic means not mic'd up. If we were to play in a club right now, the drums would be mic'd up, everything would be mic'd up, running into they call it front of house, into the mixing board. It's kind of like my mixer. Okay, it's kind of like my mixer, but obviously 10 times bigger. So when you go to a concert and you see those people behind this big board and they're moving buttons up and down, that's front of house. That's what all the sound from the stage is running into that board and putting it out to the PA. So if I were in a club right now and everything is mic'd up, I could bring my Fender M80 to a club. They just have to mic it up and then crank me up, turn down everything else, and make it even. But if I were to have a unmiked acoustic drum set here, and once he starts hitting the drums, the hi-hat and the snare will drown me out. Every crack of that snare, you will not be able to hear me. It'll be louder than me. That's called drowning me out. And it sucks because, well, I could get a 212 cabinet for a couple $100. Well, save up your money and buy one. I'm in a house. I'm working. But every time we get money, I can't take a couple $100 and put it towards a cabinet. Oh, we have an extra $300 on us. We go buy groceries. We pay our bills. We pay our house rent. I'm 48 years old. And I've never, ever played through what they call a half stack. A half stack is a 100-watt head running into a 412 cabinet. A full stack is a 100-watt head running into 2 412 cabinets. I've never played through either. The biggest amp I've ever played through, was it a Peavey? The other guitar, the band I was in, Shafted, the other guitar player had a Marshall combo, which is 2 speakers, and I was using his extra Peavey combo, which was 2 speakers. It was loud enough because it had 2 speakers. This has 1, and it's 80 watts. The other amps, I think, were 100. I'm not sure. But again, I can't get any louder. I need a cabinet to run this amp through, or I need a half stack. And they're not cheap. The cabinets are cheaper than the heads. A 100-watt head is like $3,000. What the fuck am I ever going to get $3,000? My goal is, before I turn 50, which gives me 2 fucking years, my goal before I'm 50 is to own, not even necessarily a Marshall stack, half stack, maybe even like a Marshall through like a Mesa Boogie cabinet. But my goal is to be louder, having a drum set behind me, and have a singer, a bass player, a drummer jam with me in my room. I want to be in a band again so fucking bad, but I'm not loud enough. And the only way to make me louder is if the other guys don't play as loud. Doable, or make me louder. And the only way I can make myself louder is a 212 cabinet, 412 cabinet, or 212 cabinet with a 100-watt head. The EVH, the Eddie Van Halen heads that are 50 watts, I've heard they're really powerful and they're loud. I could even do a 50-watt EVH head through a 212 cabinet and be loud enough. But right now, god damn it, my amp isn't loud enough. So I'm stuck with I am literally stuck with this being maxed out. Full blast. And from being full blast, me doing this, you should not be able to hear me talk. If there was a band in here and we were all turned up at the same volume, jamming, I should not be able to say, hey, keep playing that riff, that's really cool, do some double bass. You wouldn't be able to fucking hear me talk. If we had microphones, then hey, again, you should not be able to hear me talk. I'm not loud enough, and it sucks. My wife always says, well, what do you need a bigger amp for? You're not in a band. That's why I'm not in a band, is because I'm not loud enough. It's a vicious cycle. It's like, I want to be louder, but you're not in a band, so why do you need me to be louder? I'm not in a band because I'm not loud enough. If I was loud enough, I would have no problem with having people come over, say, bring your drums over, bring your bass over, let's jam. I would do it in a heartbeat. But there's no point because I'm not loud enough. So, you don't need to be louder. You're not in a band. I'm not in a band because I'm not loud enough. Yeah, so that's my problem right now, is when I was in an apartment, that, show you my pedal. Unplug it all. It's really fucking dirty. This is the full bore metal distortion pedal. This right here is full blast. If I was, remember when I was living in the apartment, all the apartments I've ever lived in with this pedal, that, yeah, it was about 3 o'clock. That was plenty loud enough being in an apartment without people complaining, saying, hey, your guitar's too loud. That was loud enough. Now that I'm in a house, maxed out, it's It's not loud enough. That's the pedal I've been using for quite a few years now. I love it. I just need to be louder. I've been discussing with my wife in the future, if we ever get our hands on money somehow, that's what I want to do. I want to go out and buy a cabinet. I can probably get a Marshall 412 cabinet for about $500 from Long and McQuaid, or even finance one and pay monthly. But in order for me to have the confidence to have a drummer come over and set up in the corner and have a bass player and a vocalist and jam with them, I need to be louder. I'm just not loud enough. And the fact that you can hear me talk while I'm playing and my stereo can drown me out, that's not right. It shouldn't be that way. Your stereo should not be able to drown out your guitar. I need to be louder. I need to be louder.